steeplechase final. These are the athletes involved. They had the rare occasion of running heats and a final. Not necessarily rare at the championships, but reasonably rare for these athletes, and it's something that they'll have to get used to, even though they have had that rest day following those heats on Thursday. So, Olivia Gürth, one of those names to watch out for here. Shirley Lang. Kirillova, one of the athletes who set a lifetime best to make it through to this final. Along with Lang, indeed. Kirillova, 9:56. Sarah Tate back at these championships after finishing 5th 2 years ago. Karina Skaiti, as you can see, wearing the blue bib, the European under-23 leader in the overall top lists. You can also see on the European Athletics website, to do a search for European Athletics top lists, and it brings them right up. So Elise Thorner was with Sarah Tate in this race at the last edition of these championships in Tallinn. And since then she's improved quite significantly by 20 seconds. Been based out in the US at New Mexico University, winning her heats. So personal best of 9:32. Karina Skaiti 9:26, fastest of all, hence the bib. Serrano and Gürth of Spain and Germany, respectively. Those ranked above Thorner and behind Karina Skaiti. Karina Skaiti, Serrano and Gürth, the top three, have all improved by at least 17 seconds on times this year. Korolewska, the Polish 10,000 metre champion. And we did comment as well that some athletes, very experienced distance runners, and not necessarily as much experience in the steeplechase. Sometimes maybe a little bit more common at under 20 age group, but you find yourself in a steeplechase race, having done a bit of training, suddenly you set a really fast time. It's the qualifier for the Europeans. You end up going there in an event which wasn't necessarily your first choice event previously, but you find that you have a real aptitude for it. And then you have others who have been more steeplechase specialists over the years. And that's the case for most of the athletes in the field. But they haven't necessarily always had really high quality international races which have either allowed them to improve their times or just learn their racecraft, using opportunities like the water jump to push through and kick off the back, as we sometimes see in championships. Reasonably steady pace in the early stages, but actually Karina Skaiti going out quite nicely here, bringing Gürth and Serrano and Thorner along with her, and then Korolewska, so top five actually, also first to fifth in the rankings. Looks like Rukek Tek is behind them, the Turkish under-23 champion. Her teammate was one of those who marginally missed out, and that's because we had no time qualifiers. It was just those going through by position. That's another kind of learning experience, because a number of championships obviously do have those small cues based on time. So Karina Skaiti, that personal best of 9:26.88 in Sacramento in May. She was actually sixth at these championships 2 years ago, but interesting to see how much she's improved since then in a relatively linear fashion, which isn't always the way. Elise Thorner can say the same. Marta Serrano's featured twice at the World Under-20 Championships, coming 6th and 7th, showing you just how high the standard can be. Olivia Gürth, hoping to follow in the footsteps of Geza Felicitas Falza, winning this title and then going on to win the European senior title as well.
So 1 kilometre in 3 minutes 6.33 seconds, so that's looking like a very quick time indeed at the moment. Looking at about a 9:20 time, which should be a personal best for Karina Skaite, who's the European leader in this event with 9:26, and also those women up there with her at the moment, Gürth and Serrano. Serrano did start to struggle a little bit during the heats the other day, towards the end of the race. There was no stopping Karina Skaite though. She's really come on over the last year or so during her time in the United States. Back in Europe though, she's been racing on the international circuit. Competed in Horzo recently at the Janusz Kosasinski Memorial Meeting when she set a personal best time. She's actually run 9:26 on 2 occasions. And it's those three that are bunched at the front. Elise Thorner, though, looking very relaxed behind her. Just a couple of strides, well, probably more like 20 strides further back.
Yeah, indeed. So no surprise that this group has very much been strung out. Thorner not in the easiest position, but as you say, she'll just hope that she can stay relaxed. Tech a bit further behind, who appeared to be quite an astute racer to get ahead of her teammate, despite Erdogan, who didn't qualify, having a faster time this year on paper. And Tech also beating her the Turkish Championship, so clearly someone with good racecraft.
Oh, it's interesting. This is going a little bit to form at the moment, at least as far as pre-event times are concerned. We had Karina Skaite, Serrano, Gürth and Thorner as 1, 2, 3, 4 on the European under-23 list ahead of this event, and more or less this is where they're at the moment with Karina Skaite. If you're watching the heat, well, she likes to get out in front. She likes to see the barriers and she likes to have a clear run at them. And she is one of the better women's hurdlers in this particular race. She just looks as though she's very accomplished at hurdling these barriers. So 3 laps to go, 1,200 metres to go in this women's 3,000 metres final. Well, Lithuania this morning had a winner. Just wondering whether Lithuania can have another winner. I'm just wondering when the last time they actually had 2 winners at a championship was. They've won gold medals in the past, but not that many. And Galix is going to scurry away and look at it. He's very good at this sort of thing. But we'll be watching Greta Karina Skaite. And Marta Serrano is now starting to look a bit tired. She's starting to drift off the back of that leading group. When they surge, she's back up with them at the moment, but her shoulders are dropping just slightly and her head bobbing just a little bit. So they went through 2,000 metres in 6:18:39. So a slightly slower second kilometre, but we're still on course for something inside 9 minutes 30. And for Gürth, that would be a personal best. Serrano and Karina Skaite very close to their personal bests at the moment as well. Karina Skaite looking very comfortable with 2 laps to go. So too Gürth. Serrano a bit less so. Serrano just starting to shorten her stride, just look a little bit tired, and clearing those barriers, just look a little bit more laboured, and then quite a way back to Thornier of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Thornier, well, needs to try and get back. She probably realises Serrano is tiring, but does she have anything in the tank that can get her onto the medal podium? So coming up with 600 metres to go, and it's Karina Skaite from Gürth. Serrano now 10 metres back from the leading pair. Karina Skaite of Lithuania, Gürth of Germany, looking as though now, as they come through to the water jump, no problems there for either of the 2 women. This is the head-to-head duel for gold.
What a duel it is. Yes, Lithuania have never won more than a single gold medal at 1 European Under-23 Championships. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Kauniskaite and Gürth hit the bell. 8:15 on the clock. Serrano clear in third place. Elise Thorner in fourth. And now Gürth just starting to break away from Kauniskaite. So psychological battle as much as anything. We saw that in the women's 5,000 metres where Megan Keith broke away lap by lap. She said it was on the edge of what she was comfortable with, just to try and run out the finish of her teammate, who eventually collapsed, got herself up bravely and finished the race. But yes, you can always see a little bit more when athletes are starting to tire in the steeplechase, especially when they come over a barrier like this. And Gürth is over safely. Kauniskaite is also. But Olivia Gürth working those arms hard. She's going to come through now, surely, across this final barrier. Finds a bit of momentum once again. She's going to be very close to this championship record. And she's going to take it indeed. So, sub 9:27 for the first time in the history of these championships. Olivia Gürth with a fantastic victory to beat the fastest ranked athlete on paper. Serrano went with the pace for as long as she could. Perhaps that was her strategy, just to stick at it. She kept at that task and is rewarded with a place on the podium. Thorner improves by 4 places, I make it, since the champs 2 years ago. And all of these finishers come through. Incidentally, there were 6 personal bests in the heats, but some of the faster athletes were running a little within themselves, not to take too much out of it, knowing this final was coming up. As a result, things were closer together. It'll be really interesting to see now it was more strung out, whether the athletes further behind haven't managed to set those kinds of personal bests, although it could be a different story. Sarah Tate goes sub 10 minutes for the first time. And O'Connor also a PB, someone who did very well at the European Team Championships, where she was third in the top 8 here, really promising. And Bodhi, a hug for Gürth.
Well, Bodhi getting congratulations for getting across the line from Olivia Gürth. I was intrigued to see that behind Olivia Gürth and Greta Kauniskaite, they stayed on their feet. Everyone else collapsed to the ground with exhaustion. When you're a champion, or indeed like Kauniskaite getting the silver medal, you can stay on your feet and smile. Everybody else is just gasping for air. Well, good friends. Miksuta and Kauniskaite have known each other through the ranks. Olivia Gürth, though, adding to her under-20 gold medal from 2 years ago in Tallinn. Marta Serrano hangs on in there. It was a tough race over the final 2 laps for Marta Serrano. She got detached from the leading pair, but she stuck to her task and came home in 9:41.47 for the bronze.
Yes, just having a look back at some of the big moments of the race, and that was Bodhi of Germany. That's why she was detached from the pack. But yeah, really interesting narrative, isn't it, when you have the European under-20 champion from 2 years ago, and then the athletes who was at the under-23s and placed highly, and suddenly they're in the same age category now, and you just wonder how they're going to compare in the end. Gürth, who has improved heavily this year, as I mentioned, sub 9:30 for the first time. Another magnificent performance.
Yes, Olivia Gürth really looks a talent. So too does Greta Kauniskaite as well. Just caught a little bit short for speed over the course of that final 150 metres. There's the results.
Gürth from Kauniskaite and Serrano. Those 3 were quite established in the race early on.